pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is a review and approval of today's agenda. Is there a motion to proceed? Joan, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Anything else? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We have several consent items on there. Any questions?
The assessors must have been off for a conference somewhere.
They were, and then I was out for a conference, so I missed, like, the timing of it just wasn't there, so that they couldn't go with the normal warrants.
All right. Well, I would move to approve those.
Is there a second?
So
We have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. County board member issue. Paul?
couple of things. First off, I thought that was an extremely good water meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think moving forward, I'm looking forward. There's a meeting on the 29th. I do have a conflict, but I'm going to try to be there on phone. And that I think that's the first one we're going to have where it's just the new board members and then the commissioners. So it's the new board set up. I do believe that. So I was just very pleased. It was just a very good, informative meeting and moving forward nicely. And this new Riverview deal, I think, is going to be a big push with the legislatures. I think it's going to be a good thing for us to have in our back pocket to help.
Yeah, it'll pretty much set the stage for a Norman County
Yes.
line, and that is great as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, and that'll for us to bring that climax in that one and get those two attached together. That's going to be phenomenal. So in the beginning when I first started this, I didn't know where I stood on the whole thing because it's because of not understanding and knowing. But I think all those people along that border cities, they're really interested in new water. And I think this is going to be a good thing. And they're sitting in a good spot there, right over there in Norman now with this thing. Second thing, I've been lots of calls yet on these zoning things at the lakes. A couple things I'll probably just talk to Jake about separately. But I do have one when got to get my name straight. Who's the highway guy? Rich was here, but they talked about that zoning thing out in Bagley or in that township deal, or in
Wendy.
The monuments.
Yes, and they had a good meeting apparently. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Rich told us there was going to be an independent surveyor. Well, it ain't. It's the same dude, Garrett from Widseth again. They weren't too enthused about that, but if he is willing to find those markers, because he told him straight out, that Garrett told him straight out, apparently, this is just them, I wasn't there, but that those Highway 2 markers don't mean a whole lot. I think that's maybe not a true statement on his side, so I feel we should watch that closely because Rich told us straight out that they're going to be doing some Highway 2 stuff, and that's the markers they're going by. So those folks in that township are really, if he's willing to go, and he stated to them that he would go door to door every time he entered to bring in homeowners and show them their marks. So they're willing to watch and listen. So I just been hearing it from too many people over there again. But whatever. I just wanted to bring that up. I want true information. So if they're gonna get an independent surveyor, I would expect an new independent surveyor, because I thought that's what Rich told us we were getting for that project.
I'm not exactly sure what you mean by independent surveyor.
They were gonna
He is the county surveyor.
huh?
He is the county surveyor.
I understand that, but we asked him specifically, are we getting an independent? He was sitting right there and I says, are we getting an independent surveyor? And he said, yes.
Well, he's independent. He's not beholden to anybody except right here.
Well, he's not really the county surveyor either.
Yeah,
We have not appointed him,
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
we did.
did we?
Mhm.
I don't remember that.
It came back again.
Oh,
So
right, sorry.
anyhow, but he works for us then. So that isn't an independent surveyor. So I need to make sure that I get my terminology correct too. But my understanding was we were getting an independent surveyor. To me, that's somebody not owned and run by the county. When you get an independent, it's somebody different.
Well,
That's
Paul,
how I
I
understand.
think we will be getting a different surveyor because the word is out that Borovich is transferring to another Widseth site in the state, somewhere out close to Wilmer or wherever that was. So he will be gone.
That Garrett?
Garrett, yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
oh, I see. Okay.
The firm has always done the county's, well, it's been doing the county's surveying, whoever the individual is.
Okay.
Somebody at that firm since 1971 is what we were able to find out.
Okay.
But
I'll correct that. I just want to make sure that when I tell somebody something that it's the right information.
I think, Paul, just to touch on the word, the use of the word independent, I don't know what you mean by that, because somebody ends up hiring them. That's why there is a county surveyor.
Hmm.
His only job is to make sure that those monuments are in
Sure.
the right spot.
Hmm.
But any registered land surveyor, I mean, I think one's word is as good as the other,
Mhm.
no matter who's paying them. There's no motivation to not have it correct.
Right.
The difficulty.
That's what I told him.
Yeah.
I says, we want it correct. We just need to make sure that it's correct, and we got to find something that is correct to start from.
Right. Yeah. The difficulties come as to, and I feel bad for them, but I mean, we did approve the agreement to redo
Yeah.
Columbia Township
Hmm.
to get at this
Yeah.
the issues that they have out there.
Did we have a timeline on that?
I don't remember if there.
I know they were just getting it started as soon as once the grant funds were coming in.
Because, but I thought we had a timeline on that. Would we know something more by this meeting if that was being started or something? But he apparently at that meeting told him it would take over a year to get this complete.
Very well could.
Mhm.
I didn't think it was going to take that long because I thought I asked them that as well. When is this going to be complete?
Well, you look at a map and you can see how many.
Oh, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
There's lots of them.
You want to be right on every single
Every
one.
single one, right?
Sounds
So
good.
it could be a year. Okay, I'll send that message back. Okay, thanks.
Well,
Sorry, I took up a lot of time.
to me, surveying is like a math problem. There's only one answer. No matter who does it, there's only one answer.
Correct. I agree with you 100%.
Pretty much correct. Yeah.
I agree.
It comes down to precision, and of course, as technology advances, things become more precise.
Sure.
But the planet moves and changes, and
Hmm.
I mean, so I don't pretend to be a surveyor at all, but
Just got to find a mark that everybody agrees on that's right and then go from there.
well, that's the best if they can agree on
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Warren,
Several things. We had the ATP meeting, that's Area Transportation Partnership. And we were determining some projects based on grant funding. There were 5 different projects. All of them were approved because we had money for all of them, so no issue. Foston project is sidewalk projects, $250,000 project, basically. Out of the 5, they were ranked number 5, but there was money to pay for everybody. Warren project was just more sidewalks, and LED projects were the biggest things because you convert your trees your streetlights to
Oh,
LED, there were two projects in that area, and then Middle River had a project for a trail project, and so did Baudette and Warren and Ada had LED projects. Total, I don't remember what the total was, but we had more than enough money for that. There'll be some carried over for the next round. I was looking through my old files the other day and I came across a report from Ron Dennison about our fund balances. This goes back to 2022, but it shows that the capital bond that we issue for the highway department, the 5-year one, that was supposedly paid off in February. So I'm wondering if Rich is looking at another one or what the problem is there.
I don't know
If-
if there's a problem.
Yeah, here's a copy of
We haven't sat down to talk about it.
that. Mhm.
Whether it's for roads, they can be used for highway buildings,
Mm.
but I'd say that we're very preliminary. I mean, we're just like having this kind of conversation. That's about it,
Well, this is always paid back by CASA funds.
right? I'd have to sit down and go through it.
And maybe Ron could give us an update on that listing of the bond.
Well, I think didn't he mention he was going to come back this month,
Mhm.
Correct.
probably a June one. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'll mention it. Well, try to remember to mention it to Rich.
Yeah.
He's gone this week.
we're really in good shape on our bonds. You know, the jail bonds, last payment is in February 2026. It's less than 2 years away. So that 1.2 or 3 million a year going for that
Paid off.
will be paid off. So
That's
how we
always a good word.
More budgets.
have to have some discussion on how to use that 1.2 or 3 million in revenue. It comes through the Tri-County Corrections, but
Yeah,
Well, we'll have some increases in our
yeah,
personnel, I believe, when we're gonna be going through negotiations, and that will tell us maybe a little bit more information to make some good decisions.
but those bonds are paid off by county funds, but then we get revenue back from Tri-County to basically pay for it.
well, we pay them 88% of their cost to pay us back.
Yeah,
What we're getting is the 11 or 12% from Red Lake and Norman. That just kind of offset that a little bit, but it's still costing us the majority of the cost.
yeah, that's good. And then, then I had a call and actually a visit from Brent Wagner, very upset because MCIT has turned down his
Request.
request. And now I think he wants to come before the board probably next meeting again, but he's considering legal action because he doesn't think it's right. So we'll have to decide what to do. But like I say, he's coming back again.
Does it state why it was?
Basically, there's a comment saying that unable, we've determined that you have been fully compensated for your resulting damages from your settlement with BNSF in regards to this loss. Accordingly, we are unable to consider your request for payment of damages. But Brent's argument is that the railroad paid for moving the rocks that far. The county would have to pay for moving them beyond that. So this needs to be in the record, I meant. Do you
Yep.
have a copy of this?
Better pass that
I
down
don't think
to,
I have gotten an official notice of it.
Came in an official email.
I usually get copied with all of these things, but
That's not an original. I have an original copy. If you,
it's okay. I may have it in my email because like I say, I usually get copied unless this one went straight to highway or something. But generally, I get every single one of them.
okay, then I also have, I don't know if you want to end this records or not, but so I have a map showing projects that are underway. Plan. I'll be interested. I don't have more than one copy there, but that's a big one. And then had some contact with, from Don Diedrich, and he wants to have a little commissioner rendezvous or whatever you call it on July 25th. That's the week of the Marshall County Fair when he always comes back. But
Mhm.
he wants to probably get something, maybe do it at the shanty or something, just to get together and maybe have dinner and talk and stuff. But July 25th, that's on a Wednesday.
Thursday.
Thursday, okay. So just kind of mark that down in your date books and,
If there are more than 3 commissioners there, we'd have to make,
3 or more, we have
Three or
to
more.
make it a public
would
meeting.
have to be a public.
yeah, well, I guess that's no problem.
Just confirm it with me, the time and the
Yeah.
location.
You know,
That would include you, Chuck, as far as that event too. You
Oh, okay.
couldn't,
Is he buying? That's
That's
asking
the
way too
question.
much.
yeah, you're asking a lot.
then we'd be at McDonald's, I think, but
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and then, well, I know that Mark has an issue about drainage and stuff, but that's probably enough out of me for today.
all right. I had 2 meetings over the last weeks or so. The Laurel meeting, that's the regional library system, and I serve on the finance committee, and we did present our 2025 budget. That was approved, and it ends up being a 1.7% increase for 25. We are taking money out of the reserves to get that down. Now there's a formula with that. So counties, the higher population, pay a little bit more. So our percentage increase will be very close to 2%, approximately a $6,000 increase. So Chuck, you'll be getting that
Yep.
request if you've not already.
Got it to me already.
Okay,
Very prompt.
very good. Yeah, well, they do run very professionally, I will say that. And then Friday was a morning with Jake rather than a morning and an afternoon with the planning. But we only had 3 cases, and you'll see those are presented on our agenda today. That's all I have.
Couple items. I too, Paul, remember the independent surveyor comments, and it is a concern out there, as it is a concern on certain property lines, even in my district and the city of East Grand Forks. So that's all I'll say on that issue. Water. My area received, at our farm, we had 2 inches of water last night. And I've heard reports of 2.5 to 2 3/4 in the Chirac area. Coming this way this morning, considerably less over here. All of our ditches are running at capacity, if not breaking out of the situation. First phone call I received this morning about pumping, it was about a little after 5:30. I was up anyway, but in talking to the watershed and Rich on Juneteenth, which I believe was on Monday, the county nor the watershed have any process to shut either drain tile pumps off or surface drainage mobile pumps off. And talking, and I forgot my notes at home, I believe it was Nick at the watershed. They did call me back on that Wednesday after Juneteenth. He feels it's a good idea, but unfortunately they can control on their ditches what pumps or whatever are operated and how they're operated. On the county ditches, they have no say necessarily in the operation of the ditches. So and Rich admitted when I talked to Rich, there is no process to force somebody to shut down. Basically, it's a good neighbor thing. Well, unfortunately, it's a monetary thing, and those who don't care about their neighbors don't care. And it's getting to be a real problem in my district. We're flat. We basically have at most, a 2 foot drop per mile in drainage. Our ditches are full, and the water's moving very, very slow, primarily because nobody was able to get to the bottom of the ditches to mow, to get the water to move a little bit faster. And in one segment of a county ditch, there are over 9 drain tile pumps pumping into a ditch system that was never designed to handle the local water without those pumps. And they're primarily owned by a couple groups. And even along County Road 21, drain tile pumps this morning were pumping, and people are moving tractor pumps into place. And driving over here this morning, I saw a fair amount of tractors moving around up in the ditch 126 area. And I understand it. I'm a farmer. And when your field gets underwater, you get concerned. It's a financial hit. But at the same token, it's not necessarily doing any good for anybody until there's some freeboard in that culvert. And that's what I'm asking for in the rules and regulations, that once the water starts coming down and you can see the top of the culvert, that the county look at, and the watersheds, uh, look at some type of permit or application to put a pump in, or at least a cease, uh, stop your pump operations until there's some freeboard in the ditch system. And on our area, last time we had water high, which was over the Juneteenth um, segment, it took over 7 days for the water to start going down. And I'll admit, yes, I did start a pump after we had some freeboard on one 80-acre chunk that we had concerns on. Something's got to be done about it. And it's these ditch systems, first of all, were never designed to handle the amount of water we as farmers are trying to drain down them. And in a couple of ditch systems in my district and in Warren's and even now in Gary's are coming a ditch 266 out to the Parnell impoundment, and even east of there. That particular ditch system is handling water for over 38 miles. And it was never designed to handle that kind of water. And we have a hard time handling our own 12-mile water system. And yes, farmers have gotten aggressive on ditching, but we're forced into that situation because of the amount of water that's coming from the higher country. It's getting to be a problem. And fortunately, the previous 3 years we were dry. Everybody kind of forgot about it, including myself. It's been a thought process of mine since I got on this commission. I've talked about it before. And not that I'm against subsurface drainage or drain pumps, but there's got to be a control mechanism to control and monitor as we go forward. And even with the tractor PTO pumps, I personally know you can drain a quarter section of water, of full water, with one of those PTO pumps, one of them, in about 10 hours and get that water down. And in some of these places, there's 3 and 4 tractors, and they're draining a quarter section in 3 or 4 hours. And that's putting pressure on the ditch system. and plus drain tiles systems. And it's, as you go west into my district, it becomes a bigger and bigger problem. I also received a letter from Mr. Kovar, which I'll talk to Gary later here, about leaky traps out of Polk County ditch systems. And again, we as the county don't have a per se maintenance group, if you would, that does go out and check traps and check certain ditch systems on a repetitive basis. And it's getting to be a problem. We have leaky traps all over the place. I personally had fixed 3 of the county's traps myself, and it's just small maintenance type situations. And a lot of farmers are doing that same thing. But it's getting to be a real problem, especially on these years when tensions are high and waters doesn't seem to want to shut off and people's emotions are high. It's only amplified in these type of situations. So for those listening, if anybody's listening, please be neighborly and wait until the water starts to drop in a given ditch before you pump or start or shut your drain tile pumps off until there's some freeboard. And that's all I'm asking for. And going forward with the policy, I think that's all we should be asking for is common courtesy and freeboard in a ditch system. So, and unfortunately, like I said, Middle River Snake does have a policy. And I think it's time the Red Lake watershed adopt it. And I will get up to the Red Lake to discuss that. And hopefully something can be implemented. Probably not for this year, but for the years coming. So that's it. Thank you.
Jody.
Um, so one thing I worked on since our last meeting was the education and training committee. We did the ranking for the proposals that were presented for our annual meeting in December. And our Reach and Rural team did submit a proposal, so hopefully that it'll get chosen. I was in the cities for our AMC board meeting. First off, I had a finance committee meeting. Discussion of salaries. It's just looking at some of the other organizations like in the metro that are advertising. A lot of their starting salaries are lower than what some of our staff are getting. And I mean, I think, we agree that we've got good staffing at AMC and we want to keep them. So we gave Matt Hilgart the ability to, when they're advertising for positions, to raise the salary parameters on the different positions. And then plus, there's always technology updates. So actually, going to do a Microsoft 360 program. So then we'll actually get rid of the phone system. So then this, other system will take care of phone calls and stuff. So, and like we've got just a little under 7 million that are investments right now. But so we have to have like 50% of that is considered for operating reserve. And then we also have a capital reserve of about 500,000 out of that, just under 7 million. A lot of it's invested in CDs because like AMC, we can't use the magic fund. So, and we were working with PFM, but we pulled out different things we had there because they just weren't performing. So, we just kind of keep moving things around as to get better rates and stuff. And then at our board meeting, we voted on a NACO board position because Vance Stuenberg had resigned from his NACO position. So we had Rob Peterson and Tim Sumner that had applied, and the board voted for Tim Sumner. He's out of Beltrami County. One thing we spent some time on, I don't know if you looked at the district report, but there's on there's talking about a veterans issue with finding that there's a delay in veterans death certificates being signed because the VA doctors are like, they don't consider if they've had a virtual meeting with the vet that they're, that they can sign the death certificates. So there's actually a kind of like a letter that you can go on there and sign to, kind of encourage those things to be stepped up, to be faster. Also talked about with immigration, because there had been a big discussion on that at the legislative conference board meeting. And, because at that time there was discussion down at St. Paul of Minnesota becoming a sanctuary state. Actually, we can thank Ramsey County for putting the stop on that, because they actually went to the governor and said that they were not in favor of it. And it got, so, I think we have more in common with our metro county sometimes than we actually realize. But, just talking about the different policy committees that immigration can affect, like public safety, general government, and health and human services. And then also going to put together a subcommittee in regards to what the state is kind of proposing for the state utility assessments. We spent a little bit of time on that because I think what the state is looking at probably is not beneficial for counties. But, after the Enbridge thing, the Department of Revenue was tasked with reviewing their formulas in regards to utilities. So that's where this is coming from. But I think, it's like I said, it's not, what they're looking at now is not really beneficial for counties. And then I was on the webinar for the AMC in regards to the forfeiture fund new law. And it was recorded, so you can actually go on the AMC website and look at it. A lot of information. There's still kind of some things to be worked out on it, but hopefully things go down the right path. And then had Towards Zero Death meeting. One of the discussions was in regards to the speeds on the detour routes. Because actually one of the members lives on one of the detours.
That might help.
Yeah, so he's not real happy. But just had some really good discussion. We went over the opioid settlement disbursements that we had voted on at our last meeting. And just it was a good a good meeting, and we didn't really follow the agenda for some of the things, but we just had some really good discussions. And then I was contacted by a person from the Grand Forks Herald doing a follow-up article in regards to the American Crystal Sugar fine and how it deals, with public health. I just gave him kind of just basic information, and then I referred him to Sarah. So I told him that she's the person that has the information, not me. So that's it.
I'm sorry, can I add one more thing?
Sure.
I just want to go back and it's really unfortunate that um, the Polk County Fair has been bugging me. But it's unfortunate that they request both City of Fertile and then Polk County Fair because they both happen in the same place. But I think they're two different entities. But they have come to me and asked, they have some deadlines in as far as their if their building project can move forward or not, on whether there is the potential for funding or not. But I had a thought, and um, if we look at that in just a different way, the biggest problem that they have at the fair is the bathroom issue, and I know that the bathrooms cost a lot, and if I know they're asking for a large sum of money, but if we kind of look at that as with the problem of the bathroom issue, and maybe and add to that maybe a little bit of an office space, and let them deal with the rest of theirs, if we can consider that and at least give them some kind of an answer, because I think their banking options are due in August, that they have so if we can bring that up in the near future as well. And it's just unfortunate that the city is asking and the fair is asking, and they're both in the same, they happen in the same space, but they're two different. One is the Polk County Fair and the other one is the City of Fertile. And it seems like that's a big
You can put that on
conflict.
the agenda at the next meeting too.
Pardon me?
I can put that on the
That'd be
agenda
great.
at the next
Yeah, I
meeting.
think we need to give them an answer one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I'm asking is we should discuss that, and if we can, but that's the way I'm looking at it is they need bathrooms. If they want to build this big other building in the rest of the building, that's one thing, but bathrooms and maybe an office space, if we can enter into that, that's all I'm asking. If we can get that on that, we can discuss that. That'd be great.
And what's their plan for this summer? I guess was it
Later
done
this week,
before
they
they
would like
bring
to start this
before
fall.
they bring in the rental
Hmm?
biffies? That's what they've been doing?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And basically, their need is for that week or 2 week period.
Yeah, for the bathrooms.
So,
Hmm. The bathrooms and
well,
new office space would be awesome. But
okay, just
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Understand.
But
Okay, if not, I believe Jake is on the agenda. Spent fine day Friday morning with your group, and
Jake, I'm gonna give you the
got some
boss.
results and some recommendations.
Seems like you guys been spending a lot of time together.
Oh, of course.
Good morning, everyone.
There is an item I've got to mention at the end, though, but
Okay.
I think you're probably already on top.
I hope so.
I think we all hope so.
Well,
The
let's.
first action item I have is a conditional use permit for Jim Sensky for an accessory structure greater than 800 square feet on parcel 74.00216.00. So the applicant is proposing to construct an accessory structure that is 4,480 square feet in size, 56 by 80, located on a riparian parcel on Union Lake. This falls into our new section of our ordinance that we put in this past winter, section 18.2225C. And that states that for parcels being on a non-riparian parcel or on a riparian parcel, and the building located a distance of 300 feet or more from the ordinary high water mark, maximum size for the accessory structure shall be permitted with the combined total of all accessories shall not exceed 18.2225C3, which is basically just a table that groups based on your parcel size. So from 0 square feet to 80,000 square feet, nothing changed with our permitting. It was those that are greater than 80,000 square feet. We bumped that up to 3,200 square feet in our ordinance requirements. And then it then breaks it out again. And this parcel here is well over 10 acres. And so it falls into our last category. And that would be that square footage, 435,601 is just over 10 acres of property.
But
The-
he's not asking for that total 6,000. He's only want 4,000, right?
Yep. Yep. The request is for 4,480 square feet in size. Still has a maximum height of the accessory structure of 25 feet. That didn't change at all in the ordinance requirements. And then all accessory structures over 3,200 square feet must be processed as a conditional use permit. To exceed the square footage limitations and maximum or combined in the table 18.2225 C3, and we must process that as a variance. So to exceed those standards in that table would be through the variance process. One thing I'll point out is when we did this ordinance change, tab number 2 there, or ordinance standard 2, the parcel shall not be allowed to be split to less than the minimum acreage based on the allowed accessory structure size in the future. This is something that was discussed in great detail at our public hearing on Friday, is how are we gonna move forward with that? And I guess my thought process is just to make sure that's a condition of these conditional use permits, that we state exactly what's in the ordinance, that in the future, the parcel cannot be split. In this case, they'd fall into, they would require a little over 7 acres of property to retain a building of that size. And so just wanted to point that out because our board packet, we actually added that condition to this request. So pertinent facts about this request, the applicant does own a riparian lot on Union Lake. It's approximately 21 acres in size. It's located in section 25 of Woodside Township, and specifically that parcel already aforementioned. The applicant is proposing to construct a 56 by 80 building, max height of 25 feet to the peak. And then the total dimensions would be that 4,480 square feet in size. The property does contain a home, but no accessory structures at this time. The site has extensive existing trees located between the structure and the lake. Staff just suggests that structure's visibility from the lake be reduced by keeping this existing vegetation between the proposed structure and the lake shore, and we'll address that conditionally if approved. The impervious surface coverage, since it is such a large parcel, it does have an asphalt driveway, loops around in there. The home is located quite a ways from the road, but it's still less than 1% impervious. So ordinance allows a maximum 25%. So
Does this allow them to mow in between that space then and mow and around the trees
Oh, yeah.
and stuff?
Yep. Yep. The ordinance standard that I'm referring to with the trees is just within the shore impact zone. So
Sure.
within 50 feet of the lake.
Oh, I see.
We do have some tree clearing standards. Basically, those standards are you can't clear cut all the trees in that area. There's existing vegetation. So the septic system was updated in 2020. It is still deemed as compliant, so we won't need any septic compliance inspection or anything to process this permit. And the shed is to have no habitable space defined as in our Polk County zoning ordinance and is planned for a shop and storage use. Stephanie Clam, DNR area hydrologist, stated that the primary reason for shoreland controls is to protect water quality by retaining vegetation and riparian habitat. Shoreland regulations seek to minimize erosion and sedimentation into public waters by limiting density and impervious surfaces. She adds, if the county approves the application, the DNR would recommend the following conditions. No living, sleeping quarters, or kitchen facilities shall be added to the accessory structure in the future. Future buildings on the parcel meet all setbacks, height restrictions, and impervious surface coverages. Any bare ground be planted with perennial vegetation. All future structures and associated septic systems not block or change natural drainage way on the above mentioned parcel, and to ensure that the parcel has an additional location for another septic system if the existing one shall fail or not meet future septic compliance. So with that, I'll go over kind of the application that was submitted, nothing we haven't already went over. This is the property here. As you can see, it is a large expanse on a point on Union Lake. This particular area is the eastern portion of what they call the Narrows, where it narrows in between kind of the western basin and the eastern basin on Union Lake. It is located well over 300 feet. This is the site location right off where the asphalt driveway kind of loops around. There's kind of a gravel pad area that has been prepared. Access is off 390th Street here. And this is kind of that just zoomed out. That's the entirety of that property right here. So that was kind of the discussion that we had, is how are we going to regulate moving forward, keeping that parcel of greater than 7 acres, because that's what the ordinance requires for a building of that size. And so, you know, he had stated, well, you know, he wants to retain as much property as he can for as long as he can, but things change hands and so on. So,
Would would the commission be interested in a percentage? You know, the original parcel is 10 acres. It can't be subdivided less than pick a percentage.
well, really, it is
To allow some subdivision, but not all subdivision to comply with ordinance.
yeah. The thought process would be is that, you know, it's such a large tract. We're not saying that he can't subdivide it. There's no, we're not doing that. We're simply trying to put it in the resolution that once you're planning a split like that, you have to figure out how to retain 7 acres around this particular building.
So that's guaranteed.
You know, and
Yep.
so that meets the sizing requirements.
Right.
And the thing is that that could change too moving forward. These are new. We're navigating kind of new waters here a little bit too. We just kind of saw the writing on the wall, asked other area counties, Cass, Becker, our lakes counties, Beltrami. Do you guys regulate accessory building size? And they all said no. We just let 25% dictate if they can do it or not. Well, 25% on this parcel, you could build a shopping mall, and you know, you couldn't use it like that. But you know what I'm saying, is to let the percentages regulate. I felt we couldn't go from 0 to 60 in one ordinance jump, that we needed to kind of take baby steps there. Just because that would kind of, we've regulated it for so many years that, hey, that's the max size is 2,400 square feet. Now we've kind of opened Pandora's box and said your parcel size dictates what your maximum size is, which I think is a good thing. But we can't go from 0 to 60 like these other counties that have never regulated it. They have never done that.
Yep.
So don't worry, I have a couple of planning commission members that want to blow the lid off everything too. So. But this is the existing vegetation between where you'd enter the building facing backwards, or to the back of you looking at this, and then the lake is actually, you really can't see it, but it's right there. Gravel pad that's been prepared for the building. And this is the existing home as you move down that point.
Little bit of a shack.
Yeah, it's a nice place on that point. It's not new, you know, it's been there quite a while. So with that, staff and the planning commission recommended approval with the following conditions. The applicant shall keep adequate vegetation between the structure and the lake to screen the structure from the lake. Currently, the lot is vegetated, but any extensive tree removal in the shore impact zone will not be allowed and that's within 50 feet of the ordinary high water mark. No future development shall be allowed on the lot that would exceed 25%. I don't foresee that being an issue. The structure shall be used only by the occupant of the residence. The structure may be used for, basically we're just spelling out, it can be a shop and storage for him, not, this is a definition in our ordinance of storage structure in that use. The conditional use shall become void 1 year after it was granted unless used. And then I'll waive from reading our play nice with your neighbors. And
How far away from the lake is that building? Over 300 feet?
over 300 feet. And then side note, the other condition that was added to this was that ordinance standard. Since the packet was due, I didn't have a chance to update this before our public hearing last Friday, but task number 2 there, ordinance standard number 2, was added as a condition that the parcel shall not be allowed to be split to less than the minimum acreage based on the allowed accessory structures size in the future.
can I ask a question then?
Yep.
This is just my own brain thinking. If he has a 10-acre lot and he's over 300 feet from the lake with that particular building, does this building have a sewer system?
No, it is not planned to have a sewer system.
Okay, but let's say it did. Why couldn't he have a living space there?
He could. That was one of the options for him.
Oh,
But he didn't want to be taxed on a building that was
okay, so
habitable.
that's the only difference is he'd have to put a sewer in and he'd be taxed on that.
Yep, it would be
Otherwise, he could have a living space in there.
correct.
Bingo.
Correct.
That's all I want to know.
Yep.
Good.
The applicant didn't want to do that because of the tax implications.
Sure.
That a dwelling is going to get taxed more than having
Sure.
habitable space.
Awesome.
So
So
kind
he
of
would,
what didn't that these are kind of some of the conversations that led to us amending our ordinance is why would we allow him to build that same structure, but he just would have to put in living quarters. And that's not his intent. His intent is to put a storage building up, but yet our rules didn't allow it prior to us amending the ordinance.
Right.
So
but I mean, if I was doing this, I would put in that potential under the cement in the event,
Yep.
but nothing added to that. I mean,
Yep.
but I'm just saying that's just my
Yeah,
brain.
he's not planning on doing anything with all the other lots too that he has.
No.
He could sell. Probably taxed on them, obviously, but
he's taxed a pretty penny like they're
Oh, I'm
kind of
pretty sure.
split.
yeah, 21
Lots of
acres.
lots of frontage on that parcel.
Sure. Okay.
And potential moving forward.
Correct.
That's why we had such a lengthy discussion at our public hearing.
I get it.
Was that
Good.
how are we gonna do this? It was decided upon as just put that condition in there that moving forward in the future, you would have to figure out how you would subdivide it with 7 or more acres to retain
Sure, that makes sense.
building around it.
I mean,
And that's not to say that 7 acres just has that building. You could do a home, you could do ancillary things with
Sure.
that.
well, he
so-
could sell that off with part of a different part of the acreage if he had to.
Oh, yeah.
Correct. He's just not interested at this time.
Correct. Bingo. Okay, good. That answers
We're
a
not
lot.
forcing them to split it. We're not forcing them to sell it. We're not doing any of that. We're just saying that in the future,
All right.
you
good.
got to set it up or go through the variance process because it is in the resolution now. It's a part of this permit.
Sure.
And I just wanted to verify that it got in.
Sounds good.
And there'd have to be access to it.
Yeah, it got added in right here in the resolution. So that's all I have unless there's other questions for this action item.
Stephanie added new bullets to her letter.
The one about natural vegetation or
Well, and like with the second septic or additional location.
no, that's been in. She's been sending that for a couple of years now.
Okay.
This one isn't anywhere near the septic system either, so it's kind of
Yeah.
the boilerplate letter that gets sent out depending on what the request is. This one's really tailored to more hooking septic to structures other than large buildings. But there is vegetation in there, and not adding living quarters and things, which would simply be a permit change on our end if they wanted to do that
Yeah.
and add on, and
I mean, he could change it,
you could change it.
and then he can be taxed on it.
Yep.
That'd
And
be
we
great.
would just revoke the conditional use permit and
Mhm.
allow it to change the use,
Right.
septic and all the things that would go with it.
Okay, good.
So I have in front of the board a resolution for approval with conditions for Jim Sensky to construct a 4,480 square foot building located on that aforementioned parcel.
Is there a motion to proceed?
So move.
I will second that resolution. Any further questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carried. Number 2.
Okay, very similar request from Zanita Boyanoff is the applicant. Parcel number is 27.00046.02. Applicant is requesting a conditional use for an accessory structure greater than 800 square feet. Proposed accessory structure would be 4,608 square feet in size, 48 by 96. To install a septic system connected to the proposed building located on a riparian parcel on Halverson Lake. Away from the ordinance standards, they're exactly the same as the ordinance standards, other than they fall into that 7.5 acre to 10 acre grouping. I highlighted the wrong one. It's actually the fourth grouping there. Maximum accessory size for one particular building would be 4,800, and total would be 5,600 on that lot. So that lot is actually a little over 7.5 acres. So then the ordinance standard that follows suit with a septic system being installed into an accessory structure is 18.2225E. So the applicant owns a riparian lot on Helverson Lake. It's approximately 7.8 acres in size. Parcel's located in Section 8 of Garden Township, specifically that aforementioned parcel. Helverson Lake is a natural environment lake and classified in the ordinance as such. The applicant's proposing to construct a 48 by 96 building, maximum height of 25 feet to the peak. Total dimensions for the building would be 4,608 square feet in size. The property contains an existing home and an existing 160 square foot shed. The total accessory buildings for the property would be 4,768 square feet. So still falling in line with the zoning ordinance. The septic system connected to the house was installed in 2023, so it is still compliant. We do need the septic design for the proposed septic holding tank for this project. We did get a sketch, but not a full septic design, so we will need that. Site has an extensive existing trees located between the proposed structure and the lake. Staff suggests that the structure's visibility be reduced by keeping that vegetation, if approved. Impervious surface coverage for this parcel is approximately 3% when we plan in the new accessory building and all the existing buildings. The shed is to have no habitable space as defined by the Polk County zoning ordinance. This will be addressed via conditions placed on the permit. The applicant will be required to complete and record a no guest house waiver before that permit's issued. Stephanie Clam, DNR area hydrologist, sent her letter. Away from reading it, it's the same letter that was on the aforementioned action item. Unless somebody wants me to read it again.
I think we're fine.
We're good.
Okay, application, nothing we already haven't went over in the pertinent facts. This is a sketch of the property, the home. It is located well over 300 feet from Helverson Lake. This is that parcel there. Helverson is just northeast of Fertile, Helverson Lake.
Right out in your country.
Right there. I know
Beautiful
right-
spot, I understand.
I know right where it is.
Beautiful spot. Right off 410th there, the planned building would go right north of the house is here with an attached garage. The building would go off into, it's kind of a garden area, hayfield area right now. And this is the proposed area. Looks like it used to be a garden that just kind of was planned for a building now. So this is the home located on the site. And this is the existing vegetation from the lake. This is kind of the closest point to the lake. There's a little dip here. You can't see the lake from the site. And just looking back at the property. Yep, very beautiful area. So with that, Planning Commission and staff recommended approval with the following conditions. No guest house uses. Applicant shall have furnished evidence of having the no guest house waiver recorded with the property deed. Applicant shall keep adequate vegetation between the structure and the lake. No extensive tree removal in the shore impact zone. That's within 75 feet actually of a natural environment lake instead of 50. No future development on the lot that would exceed 25%. And the structure may be used by the occupant to the only by the occupants of the residence for shop use, storage of household goods, animals, all kinds of things that are in the ordinance for a storage building definition. The applicant shall provide a full septic design for the planned septic system prior to issuance of the permit. The conditional use shall become void 1 year after granted unless used. And then we also did place in that standard about keeping the lot within lot sizing requirements. So for this parcel, what it really means is that the parcel cannot be subdivided because it's 7.8 and you need a little over 7.5 to construct a building of that size. Applicants are aware of that. They're fine with that. They're not looking at subdividing property. So does have a little bit different effect on the conditional use for this that you already know now. You can't split off that without going through the variance process, which is just the process they'd have to go through. So, and then away from our 6 standards, I just want to verify it got updated in the resolution. 13, yep. So with that, unless there's questions or comments, I have a resolution in front of the board for approval of the conditional use. To construct a 48 by 96 accessory building on a riparian parcel, parcel number 27.00046.02, located on Halverson Lake, and to install a new septic system connected to the proposed building with those conditions.
It's a large building,
It's a large building.
but I understand the construction business and looking forward to having that space.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve? Is
So
there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Our last one.
Had the privilege of visiting 3 very nice properties in Polk County for this zoning meeting that we had. Our next applicant, Jana Hankey, is proposing to hook a new septic system to an existing boathouse on parcel 74.00545.00. That is a riparian parcel located on Union Lake. 18.2225E states no septic systems installed in an accessory structure without a conditional use permit. So the applicant owns a riparian lot on Union Lake, which is approximately 6.6 acres in size. Parcel is in section 25 and 26 of Woodside Township, specifically parcel 74.00545.00, and the property contains an existing 24 by 38 two-story boathouse. If you've ever been on Union Lake, this is the green boathouse located on the point on the western basin. Planning and zoning issued a land use permit to improve the structure within the guidelines of non-conforming standards in the Polk County zoning ordinance. Some of those projects involved reshingling the roof and residing and some things to keep the structure. They're normally viewed as maintenance on structures, but on boathouses, the rules are very tight. You can only spend 50% of your project to improve a structure over the life of it. So it is an existing boathouse. They met the guidelines to do so, to re-roof and do some upkeep on it. The applicant had a compliance inspection done on the existing sewer connected to the boathouse, which failed to meet current compliance requirements. Essentially, it's been described to me on the report that it's basically a culvert standing on end located 30 feet from Union Lake. So it is in need of updating. So the applicant plans to replace the septic system with the holding tank, and indicated on the application the structure was not to be used as a guest cottage. Shed is to have no habitable space as defined by the Polk County zoning ordinance. It is planned for a hobby and storage use. This will be addressed conditionally if approved. Impervious coverage on this proposed parcel is less than 5%, and that factoring in their construction plans for a home on the property as well. There's currently an old cabin on the property that they're going to be demoing and building a new home on it. Stephanie Clam sent her letter. She did have a little caveat about the structure is non-conforming and should meet Minnesota statute 394.36 of non-conforming structures, as well as Polk County's shoreland ordinance standards. Our shoreland ordinance standards in Polk County zoning ordinance exceed those state statute standards, where we heavily regulate boathouses. So in that, no living, sleeping quarters, or kitchen facilities shall be added to the accessory structure in the future. Future buildings on the parcel meet all setbacks, height restrictions, and impervious surface coverages. Any bare ground be planted with perennial vegetation. All future structures and associated septic systems not block or change natural drainage ways on the above mentioned parcel, and to ensure that the parcel has an additional location for another septic system if the existing one shall fail. About 6.6 acres, so there's a pretty good parcel there. This is the application, nothing we haven't went over in the pertinent facts. This was additional application submitted by the applicant, her narrative for the request. They want to basically build on this property. They own the property right to the west of it, have admired this property for many years. It is the Irons Point is what it was called. Recently sold about a year and a half ago to Jana Hinkey. This is that point I'm talking about, and it encompasses 3 parcels here. Their cabin currently is located right next to this property, which looks like is for sale because they'll be developing on this property here. These parcels, I'll just side note, these parcels have been combined. It's just a process of our GIS hasn't been updated to reflect that information. So that is all one parcel now. This is a site sketch from Tim Olson about how to upgrade that septic system. The ordinance requires it to be 75 feet off the lake. The current septic system is sitting right north of the boathouse, approximately about less than 30 feet from the lake. And again, culvert standing on end. So vertical concrete culvert was the description in the failing compliance report. So not a septic system. This is the site. You can see the boathouse here, kind of a catwalk in and walkway down to the beach area. This is the landmark boathouse that is on Union Lake.
24 by 38, something like that.
Yep, 2-story boathouse.
There you are.
There's the culvert. So the plan is the plumbing is only on the top floor. There's a bathroom located on the top floor. And so it does not need to go through the basement level like it does currently. The plan is to replumb out to this catwalk. The pipe would be supported under the catwalk and get into the ground over here. It is just a seasonal place. It's not going to be used in the winter. You wouldn't set that up if you're going to use it in the winter. Really no other option. Replumb, get that out into the catwalk and get that into this particular area, my first picture here. This particular area right out here.
Mhm.
So pumper can get there. There's plenty of room to
That
work
was my
around.
question.
Plenty of room to work around the new home and it's kind of all flat and then it kind of drops off. It's a really beautiful property. So with that, I have a resolution for approval of this request with Planning Commission and staff recommendations, which I'll go over right now. So no guest house uses. Applicant shall have furnished evidence of having recorded the signed no guest house waiver with the property deed before the building permit is issued. Applicant shall provide a full septic design for the planned septic system prior to issuance of the zoning permit. Currently, we just have the sketch, which is kind of typical. We don't get the full plan until they say, hey, you're good to go, get us a full septic design. The conditional use shall become void 1 year after it was granted unless used, and I will waive from our play nice with your neighbors, meet all federal, state, and county and Polk rules. So with that, I got a resolution for approval, unless there's questions, for Jana Hankey to upgrade that existing boathouse septic system.
They're gonna use the same septic system for the new house?
No, this will just be a holding tank, and then they're going to be doing a new septic system.
Oh, I see.
They won't be tied together just because of proximity issues
Sure,
to
okay.
get it from A to B.
All right.
Other questions? If not, is there a motion to proceed? Is
Sure, I move.
there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Your item you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, just a couple of safety items, and I noticed Friday the sidewalk as you just kind of go outside on the right, it's kind of slipped.
Yep.
And obviously tripping hazard. Someone pointed it out
Yep.
to me also when it's kind of right next to the handicap parking spot. So that could be levered. I'm not sure if you,
Yeah, we had a Palmer Masonry out
I thought
to
I,
take a look at the project, and he suggested we call Dakota Mud Jacking. So
Right.
they've been contacted. We're on their list to have them come by the facility. He just said he doesn't provide that service, and that's what
Oh.
he recommended. My original thought was maybe we'd shave off and make it a little sloped. He highly recommended we do not do that.
they do a very nice job.
Yep. He said you'll have a couple of little divots, dimples in your concrete. That's it.
No.
Jack it up. But we do need to work all the way around our vestibule.
Yes. On the
Because
other
it's
sides.
4 sections of concrete that would need to rise up. And so, but they can make it sloped a little and not have to jack all of them because there's probably 8 panels there of concrete. So we're looking to get that addressed as soon
Yeah,
as
as
possible.
soon as possible.
Yep.
And then the second one is you drive back to the dropping off grass and trees and those types of things. It closes at, at 5 o'clock, but I think they, kind of close that area off by putting a wire across there.
Yep.
Okay. I noticed though, when I was out there one afternoon, that there really wasn't a real clear item. I mean, it's difficult to see that wire. Now they've got some torn up little orange
Snow fence on it.
snow
Yep.
fence on there. But that's really not enough. I would think if some flags on there, closed, it'll prevent someone from boom and
Yep.
doing some damage to their vehicle.
We've discussed moving our big snow pusher out there too, because we have had
Oh.
some people that are using the facility after hours. There is a lock on that, but we've since moved that to tie it to the building instead of a sign, because all they have to do is move a sign.
Oh, yes.
They're doing lots of work to use the yard waste in the Saturday and Sundays, but we've discussed just putting our snow bucket right in between our bins. We've tried to get that area so that people are just going in and out of that area, not through our lot to the north. And we've kept that gate locked up now. It's employees access only into the north
Oh.
gate because we had so much cross traffic going on. So we still are working out some things to layouts and what best to do. But for the meantime, we'll get that snow pusher at least there for the weekends, and try to figure out what we're gonna do for flagging. Maybe some white flags instead of orange.
Something
or
that would,
something.
yeah.
We do after hours have quite a bit of cables that close off. Even the front area, because our issue is we do 24/7 recycling now. We do want people to be able to drop their recyclables off after hours, because some people just can't get to our facility by 7 p.m. on a Monday. That's the only day we're open till 7 p.m.
I know.
So we shut that down during COVID. We didn't want the 24/7 recycling because it was filling with demolition debris. So we want to keep that service open, but if we're having people that are using the facility after hours when they shouldn't be doing other things, then that's a different conversation, and we might be gating it all off. So I would just ask our residents respect our hours of operation. We do shut that yard waste down because the guys would never get out of the
Everything done,
facility,
right.
and our employees would never get out of the facility, because it's constant.
And they're
back
just
there.
closing it maybe a
Half an hour before
closing,
closing
right? So,
time.
I mean,
And if
that's,
somebody's in there, we extend it. It's not like we're booting you out. Hey, half your load's down. But we have had that issue. But we'll get some white flags or something on it for the short term.
are there some issues with all the water? And I understand we're getting a lot of rain, but
Our biggest issue with water is back there is that it's actually tiled underneath that pad, but
not working.
we're now having sinkage. We're having the area before it that isn't concrete starting to sag a little. So we're constantly adding some class 5 to that area so we don't have potholes before we get up in there. So water's moving through it, you know it when you're having sinking issues. So, and it is tied all into the city curb and gutter system. We do have it then free flowing underneath those big concrete dividers.
Yep.
There is a channel where the concrete was sloped where it can flow right under that. We put it right over the top of it where it could flow underneath there. So as long as that's free of debris, which is the second issue, sometimes things get plugged. We got to clean that out every once in a while. So
Well, thanks for.
yeah, well, we're still working on our layout and our facility. There is a nice facility map, though I will mention on our website.
Oh,
So that if people want to know where this bin is and that
Yeah.
bin is, just go to our
oh,
website.
I think it's organized very nicely out there.
Reload.
Yeah.
Thank you much.
Anything else?
All right, we'll take a short break.
Yeah, there's one back here.
I'll come back.
Let me still shoot you an email when he gets
When Chuck goes up, then I'll come back.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Did you get contacted by?
Yeah, I had two.
Did you go to the US Open or just get a shirt there?
Just gonna share. I've got it's called Short Bar 4.
Yeah.
It's a subscription thing where they send you clothes every month.
Really?
Yeah. So they sent this T-shirt from
Really?
the Open. Yeah.
Huh. Short. What'd you call it?
Short Bar 4.
Short par.
Yeah.
I have to remember that. I got this at PGA store at the airport. And it's like,
Pebble Beach.
geez, I really look good in this.
I had a Pebble Beach one a long time ago. My uncle lives up in California. He went and played it.
Yeah.
Sent him.
Huh. Yeah, I should do that at some point because that's a public course. You can get in it, but it's like